Today we're going to walk through some more examples of solving equations with fractions to help you guys get a little bit more comfortable with it before we take a quiz on this at the end of the week. Okay, what you need to do here if we want to solve the equation you see on the screen is we're always looking to multiply the whole equation by the least common multiple of our denominators. So I see a denominator of 5 and a denominator of 3. I want to multiply this whole equation by 15 because both of these go into 15. Okay, so let's make sure we multiply the whole equation by 15, each term in it. So I'm going to do 15 times 3/5 x, or that's also the same as 15 times 3 divided by 5. So I can do 15 times 3 over 5 x plus 15 times a third. And again, there's more than one way to write this. I'm just going to write 15 thirds. So I multiplied here. Then I also need to make sure to multiply it by that whole number too. So 15 times 1 is 15. And now what I can do is simplify this expression as we go. I see that 15 is divisible by 5. It goes in there 3 times. So instead of 15 times 3 divided by 5, I can see this as 3 times 3 over 1, or 9. And that x needs to stay with it. So 9x plus 15 divided by 3 is 5, and all of that equals 15. Now I'm working with an equation that just has whole numbers in it. So I'm going to subtract 5 from each side, and I have 9x equals 10. And when I divide both sides by 9, I get x equals 10/9. Let's take a look at another example. In this case, when I look at my denominators, I've got 6, 3, and 2. So I'm looking for the number that all three of these go into. Let's multiply all three of these by our least common multiple, which is 6. Okay, so I'm going to first take 6 and multiply it by this term on top. Now, one thing you'll want to do is kind of put that in parentheses to make sure that whole thing stays together. I get 6 times 3x minus 4 divided by 6. Plus, bring this over and do 6 times 1, which is 6, over 3. And all of that will equal 6 times this third term, 6 times 3x over 2. Now, some people might write this as 18x over 2. Doesn't matter. We all simplify at different points along the way. So now, going back to this first term, I need to take my 6 and distribute it amongst all the terms here. Or, some of you might see right away, if I have 6 times 3x minus 4 and then I'm dividing that by 6, the 6's cancel out. So what I'm left with is 3x minus 4. Okay, plus this term, 6 divided by 3 is 2. And in this last term here, I can see, again, 6 is divisible by 2. If you divide them both by 2, you get 3 over 1. So instead I'm left with 3 times 3x over 1, or 9x. Now, just as a side note here, you could have multiplied 6 times 3x and gotten 18x, and then divided that by 2, but you'd still end up with 9x as your simplified term. Alright, now let's combine like terms and solve. So I have 3x minus 2 equals 9x, and if I take 3x away from both sides, I'm going to move it up here, you guys, I get negative 2 equals 6x, or divide by 6, and I have x equals negative 2/6, which I'm going to go ahead and reduce right away. X equals negative 1/3. Alright, let's look at another example. In this one, I'm looking at my denominators of 4, 3, and 2, and I'm looking for what the least common multiple of those three is. And I see that 12 is the first number that all three of those go into, so I'm going to multiply each term by 12. So let's do 12 times m plus 2. Notice again, I'm grouping that in parentheses to save me some time here. Then I'm doing 12 times m divided by 3, and all of that equals 12 times 1, or just 12, divided by 2. All right, let's start going through now and simplifying. 12 fourths divides out to be 3 over 1. And so I can then take this 3 and distribute it to each term within my parentheses. So 3m plus 3 times 2, which is 6, over 1. Oops, I don't need that. And then I'm going to subtract. Over here I've got 12 divided by 3, or 12m divided by 3, which is 4m. And 12 divided by 2 is equal to 6. And now I've got 3m minus 4m, which is negative m, plus 6 equals 6. And if I subtract 6 from both sides, I get negative m equals 0. Now remember, guys, you can't leave your answer with a negative variable. We need to say not what negative m is, but what m is. So if negative m equals 0, then m would equal the opposite of 0, which in this case is just 0, so m equals 0. Alright, let's take a look at one final example here. I'm looking to see what the lowest common factor, or lowest common multiple of 3 and 2 is, and so I see I need to multiply my whole equation by 6. Multiply your whole number by 6, so we have 30 minus, and then we're going to multiply this term by 6. So I have 6x divided by 3 equals, and then I'm going to multiply my final term here by 6, and again I'm keeping that x plus 2 in parentheses. So I have 6 times x plus 2 divided by 2. Alright, let's simplify now. We've got 30 minus 6x divided by 3 is 2x. And over here I'm going to take out my common factor, which is 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. And now I can distribute this 3 to each of the terms inside my parentheses, and I have 3x plus 6. And finally, we're going to solve to find out what x is. So I have 5x plus 6 equals 30. I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides, and I'm going to bring it up here. 24 is equal to 5x. And when I divide both sides by 5, I get x equals 24 fifths. Now you could divide it and turn it into a decimal. You could rewrite it as a mixed number of 4 and 4 fifths. I like to just keep it as an improper fraction as long as it's reduced, and this one is, so we're good to go. Alright, if you're having more questions on this, come see me during study hall, during class, after school, and we'll work through it together. Hope it helps. Bye.